Hey guys, in my last video I said I was going to do a more in-depth flip of my Hobonichi cousin as well as my ring binders, but I will start with my Hobonichi cousin and the ring binder will be a separate video just because I don't want this to be too long. But before we get started, I just want to mention that this cover is from Giulio Firenze and this is their A5 size appunto zip with the zip around. And this also comes with the back pocket and the color is green. I believe it's sold out right now, but there are other colors to choose from. I really love this cover. So that's out of the way, and like I mentioned, this is my Hobonichi cousin in the A5 size. Cousin means A5. Well, when you get a cousin, it's only in A5 size. So let's get started. I didn't decorate the front cover at all. When I started this year, and in my video where I did a setup with me for 2021, I said that I wanted to use this planner every single day and I want to use up every single page in this planner, and I've been doing that. I never for a single moment did I want to, or did I feel like I needed something else, or I never felt like I needed to switch into a different planner or different system. So this has been really functional for me. So I'm pretty happy about that. This first page is just a calendar for 2021, 2022, and then I believe this was a spot for 2020. When I started this year, I wanted to circle in all the dates as the days go by, to mark whether I felt like I spent the day fully. But obviously I kind of lost track back in April, but I can just go back and circle in the dates because I've been so freaking busy every single day. And I can honestly say that I've been living every single day fully, so fully. So that's good. And I'm going to go back and circle in those dates. And on the bottom right here, we have the calendar for 2022. That's next year. The current year is 2021. If you're watching it in another year, maybe. I just wanted to mention that. So this is the next year. So what I wanted to do was, if something comes up that is going to take place next year, I'm going to circle in the dates here. And then on top, I will write down the date and then write down the event next to it. This little printout I created myself, and I just printed it out and cut to size on regular paper. And I just taped it on here using washi tape from my shop. Now let's flip to the next page. So this is my area where I track my goals. And just like different aspects of my life, not just goals. There's some kind of habit tracking going on as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is this flap over here. So I printed this out on regular paper, just copy paper, and I filled this out using Excel, and I basically just wrote out my quarterly goals. So this one is Q2, and I also have a Q1 sheet right here. And I just stapled these together. Originally, my intention was to create a flap that opens this way. That's going to be Q1 to correspond with January, February, and March. And then create another one on the right-hand side for the second quarter over here. But I realized that this wouldn't really work because what's nice about flipping this way is that when I'm planning out my weeks and months and when I'm in my daily pages, it's really nice to have this open like this, so that I can see exactly kind of what my goals were, so that I can keep track of them and then make sure that I am working on those goals. So that's why I decided to just overlap the two sheets and then use a stapler to staple it on top so I can still look at the second page. So that's what this is. And these categories, as you can see, I have fitness, reading, Japanese piano, project 1, and then Sterling ink. These are categories that I have in my main goal spread. So that is over here. So if you're not familiar with Hobonichi, they always give you this one, 2 pages of blank spaces, blank pages, to write whatever, I guess, but on top it says turning the page to a new year. So I was interpreting that as a place to write down your goals or visions for that year. So that's what I decided to do here. And this is between the end of the weekly section and the start of the daily sections. So there's just this one, these 2 pages in between those 2 sections. I would have preferred this to be at the very beginning, but that's just how this is set up. So what I did was I went on Excel and then filled out all the different categories that I wanted to work on at the end of last year when I was preparing for this planner. I wrote out all of them, and I wrote out like kind of what my final goal is, like what my final vision is for those areas. And this includes work, this includes personal things that I want to work on. And then I created these timeline. So at the end over here, I have end of year goal. So I would just fill out what my goals for the end of the year is for these categories. And then I break that down into quarterly goals. And these are just more general. And I try to be more specific in my quarterly goal sheet right here, because that's talking about that specific quarter. But here I'm just trying to divide my goal into 4 parts so that I can kind of write out where I need to be each quarter. Then that gets further divided into a monthly goal. And then after that, the monthly goal will be divided into weekly and daily tasks. So these are more of a task-based task-based things instead of goals. And then these will be transferred into this section right here. So I have quarterly goals, and then next to it I have what I need to do on a daily and weekly basis, because some things I don't have to do on a daily basis. It's just like doing something a few times a week. So I would fill that out here, and I just like covered up some stuff here for because I didn't want to share those areas. So then what I did was these categories, I would more or less follow these categories up here, and from quarter to quarter those categories have changed slightly. So on top I would write out the category like reading, self-care, fitness, and the languages I'm studying, piano and work, journaling, finance, and such. And then I would pick a color to fill in the dots, and these colors kind of stay consistent throughout the whole planner. So I'll show you my color coding system later, but these colors are always consistent. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So for example, fitness, I just track the dates when I worked out. Reading, I've been reading every single day except for March because something happened and it really just threw me off track. But I kind of came back and did really well for the rest of the this year so far. So that's really good. So that's what this tracking page is. And then on the bottom, I just write out a summary. So I kind of just summarize what I did for those individual categories. And if self-care is something that I just want to do consistently, so I just do a check mark instead of writing what I did, like, oh, did my skin improve or anything? No, I didn't write stuff like that. I just wanted to do a check mark saying I did that. And then reading, I wrote like I've read every day, I've read 5 books and such. So that's how I'm using the bottom portion, just to summarize what I did that month based on those categories. So that's the tracking page, and the next 2 quarters will be the same too. I'll print out the 3rd quarter goal sheet over here and then tape it so that I can open it up as I'm planning out my month. So that's how I'm going to be using these 2 pages. And then the following page is going to be the monthly page for monthly spread for December of 2020. Obviously this year is 2021 and I have no use for this page because I like to finish out my whole year in one book, so January through December. So what I did here was I decided to use this as an area to write down my routines. So this keeps track of my monthly routine, my weekly schedule, my monthly goals. I like to just kind of repeat some of the goals on different pages, because the more I see it, the more I get inspired, the more I get push myself. So I just wrote out like really concisely what the goals are. And then on the left hand side right here, I just wrote out monthly bills. So I keep track of like when things are due, what subscriptions I have. So most of my bills are on auto pay, so I don't really have to really pay it on that day, but it's just good to keep track of like the things I'm subscribed to, because those can get kind of out of hand. So periodically I'll come here and then just make sure that I still want to be subscribed to those things. So that's what this is. And on top here, I think this is also helpful if you have different credit cards that have different due dates. It's just nice to see when your period gets closed out, so that you can better keep track of like your finances or whatever. So that's also something I do here. And so on the top, I divided this monthly section into half. So the top portion up to here I used as a monthly routine portion. So I'll write out monthly routine and then I divide it into 4 weeks, because every month definitely has 4 weeks, but some months will have an extra week, but I'm just basing it off a 4 week kind of period. So I write out week 1 through week 4, and then I just kind of write out my cleaning schedule and when I do my groceries and what my Sunday routines are. The Sunday routines I don't really repeat, I just write it in one box. So that's how I'm using that top portion, and then the bottom portion is weekly schedule. So over here on the left hand side, I just copy those categories from my goal spread. So I have a bookmark here. So these categories I'll just write out here, and then I'll write out like when I want to work on those, so I can make sure that I'm spreading those out and I'm not scheduling the too many things on one day in terms of goal planning. So that's what I use this for, and I reference this page when I'm planning out my weekly spread, and I reference this portion when I'm planning out my monthly spread. Even though I do the same thing every month, every week, I said before, I said this so many times, when I see a blank page, my brain just refuses to start working. So what's really helpful for me is to kind of reference this page and fill out these items first. Then it kind of lubricates my brain and I will start working better, and thoughts will come in and I'll start remembering the things I have to do. So that's what I use this page for, and that's been pretty successful. So as you can see, in January, I was still struggling kind of with my monthly spread. I just wasn't sure how I was going to use it. I always struggle with my monthly, but after January I kind of started to figure this out. But let me just, well, actually let me talk about that in a sec. So this is my January spread, which is not that much to look at. February, you can start to see that I'm starting to get more comfortable with using the monthly spread. So what I started doing here is I'm using this as a place to pre-plan. So every week, at the beginning of every month, I'll start filling this out, and I'll just write out the big dates, and then every week I'll come in and fill it out even more and more per week. So I do my weekly planning here as well. So I always fill this out before I go into the weekly section. And this is really good because you see the big picture. You see the entire month when you're planning out the week. So that I find to be very helpful when I'm pre-planning. So just to break down how I'm using this page, on the Hobonichi always starts from Monday, so it's Monday through Sunday here, and then on the left hand side you have this extra kind of sidebar that you can use for whatever. What I decided to do was I wanted to divide this section into the weeks corresponding to the weeks happening here. So on the bottom here you can see a very small week number. So what I do is that I just write out using my brush pen. So I've been using the this pen is from Hobonichi. This came as a freebie with the Hobonichi planners that I purchased. So I just use that to write out the week numbers. So that's the very first thing I do. And then I will write out when I'm doing groceries based on, and when I'm doing my cleaning based on my monthly routine right here. And then after that, I will fill in like the other stuff like work deadlines, personal events and such. And on the left hand side underneath the weeks, I'll write out like some miscellaneous tasks that might not have a deadline but needs to happen sort of like during that week. Then I'll just park that here. And sometimes it's just like a general deadline, like I should be finishing that for work for that week. I'll write that here just to summarize like what I need to do. So when I come to that week, I'll look at this first and say, oh, I was supposed to do these things. So I get a better picture of what I had planned for myself for that week. So that's what I use this area for. And then based on that, I will kind of divide a huge chunk of task into smaller tasks through the week. So this is not just a place to write out appointments and deadlines, but also a place to write out like broken down tasks. So that's what this is. And you can see that I'm color coding here. This month I didn't do such a great job with color coding because you see that only certain things are color coded. I think I only color coded the major deadlines, but these colors match up with these colors. So I did have a legend somewhere, I think in my weekly at the beginning, where I did write out, oh here it is. So I did write out like what each color means so that I can follow it, but now I have those colors down, and since then some of the colors have changed a little bit, but I'm sticking to mostly this. So that's what the colors mean. So throughout the entire book, the colors are going to be consistent. And then this is February, so it was a really short month. So I ended up with this huge chunk at the bottom. So what I did was I wrote out my specific monthly goals for some of the categories I mentioned for my goals. So that's what this is. And then let me show you March. So you can see I was getting much more comfortable with this. So I started color coding every single thing so that I can see things right away. And I highlight items in orange if it involves someone else, so I know that's an appointment. And then I highlight things in purple if it's like a personal like milestone or personal like big item, big event. Then when I flip back, I can immediately see when I did those things during that month instead of searching through all of the writing. So that's what that is. And then I believe I'm using blue to highlight like work milestones or events. So that's what that is. And then so I color code things by using my zig dot. This is a clean color dot zig marker from Kuretake. I bought this from JetPens and it came as a set of 12. So this has a blunt end that makes the circle, a circular mark, and then this is the thinner end. So what I do is I would mark out the dots, right? And then if it's a deadline, then I just highlight it, not highlight it, but underline it so I can see, oh, that's a date that's important, instead of it just being a task. And this was March, so March 1st ending on 31st, and I ended up with these 4 boxes over here, so I use that as a place to write out my goals for the different categories again. So yeah, that's how I've been using my monthly. It's pretty straightforward. And on the bottom, I have 2 main businesses. I have like 3 total, but I have 2 main businesses. So what I decided to do at the very bottom is on the left hand side, I would write out the goals for one business or main tasks I need to work on for one business, and the other one for the other business. And the third one doesn't require that much work, so I don't write anything. So that's May. May was a really, really terrible month for me. Our family was going, something happened in March, and then we thought everything was getting better, and then in May, something even bigger happened. So that was a devastating month. But June, I definitely picked myself back up, and this is June. It's a really busy month. And then I've been using like these post-it notes for things I want to remember for the following month. So I'll write something on here and then just stick it onto the monthly sections in the other months. I can't really show it because it has some private stuff. So that's it for my monthly section. So now let's move on to the weekly section. And by the way, I've been using these post-it tabs from the brand Post-it. These are the more sturdy tabs that they offer. I've been using these as bookmarks, and I've been moving it from week to week, day to day. I'm also using one for the daily. So I use one for the daily section, use one for the weekly, and then one is for monthly. So I put the monthly and weekly on the left hand side. So one is on top and one is on the side. And then the daily is here on the right side, because I always have the weekly section open. So it's nice to be able to kind of flip back into the monthly section and then flip to the right to the daily section. And when I'm on the daily pages, I just flip back to it's easy to flip back to the weekly section. And to me, these post-it tabs might seem like a trivial little thing that I added to the planner, but these tabs really help me to utilize all 3 sections because it's so easy to flip back and forth. And that was one of my problems with Hobonichi, because it was so big and there's so many sections that's like kind of hard to flip from place to place. That's why I wasn't using the monthly section that much before, but now because it's so easy to like kind of flip back, I've been using it much more. Let's go to the weekly section. Let's go from January. Yeah, so January, this is the first week of this year. I started out this year by thinking that I would use this as a time blocking section where I would literally write out what I'm going to do at what hour. And then on the left hand side, this hasn't changed much. I am writing down the weekly items. So this portion gets copied here, and then I will add more onto this, like the miscellaneous items. I'll add more as the week goes by. And then on the bottom I have a tracker. And then on the very bottom, I have a section for highlights for that week. Depending on if something major happened, then I'll just write it down here. So I started out this year thinking that I would use this as a time blocking. I would use the time blocking system, but that wasn't really working out that well because my days were like so crazy. If I miss like one deadline in terms of that day, then it just ruins the whole entire day, like in terms of the schedule. So that was very discouraging. So you can see that I was like still trying to use that, and then I think over here I tried to kind of time block using the highlighter, and then I would write out like miscellaneous tasks in the blank spots. I was starting to experiment with that, and then I think over here I just started giving up on that whole idea, and then started just writing out the tasks, disregarding the hours in the day. So yeah, as you can see, I just started writing out the tasks for the day, and these stickers and kits, all the stickers and kits are from, and the washi tapes are from my shop. This was the February theme, which I loved, so that's how I was using this. And these calendars are freebies from my Facebook group. If you sign up for my Facebook group or website newsletter, you get access to the entire year of calendar of this year. So you can access like all the previous months. Right now it's July, but you can access like from January to July. And the freebies also come with like a matching sticky note printables. These I printed on vellum instead of sticky note, but you can also print that on sticky note. And it also comes with these notes, sticky notes. Yeah, so that's how I was using it. And then starting from here, I started to diligently color code everything, because I find that to be really helpful so that I can see like immediately which task corresponds to which area. So if I needed to look up something for work, I can just jump to it right away. That's how I was using it. This is start of April. And here I started using the highlighting system as well. So I would highlight items orange if it involves someone else, and I highlighted yellow if some of these tasks take a long time, so I know to plan for those or like work on those first so I can get them out of the way. And then if I have like 5 to 10 minutes, I'll just go over the other smaller tasks and see if I can get those out. So that's sort of my color coding system here. And then May happened, which just, I don't even want to talk about May. Like when I look at these more blank pages, what I see is not blank pages, but how like resilient I was and how I was able to pick myself back up. It was just a really tough month for me and my family. And so June happened, as you can see, like I'm kind of getting more back in track with my planning. When I don't write in my planners, it could be a very like, everything can quickly go wrong. So it's good that I kind of got myself back on track with that. So this is June, and in June I started doing something that I quite liked. So here I was doing the same thing where I just write out the tasks and then color code it. But starting from the 10th, what I started doing was I would write out all of my tasks the night before. I always do this the evening before. So I write out all the tasks, and then I like highlighted this area gray to kind of mark out, to kind of differentiate this from this portion. So what this portion is, I kind of just like put those tasks in the order that I want to work on them. And I don't write out like what time I'm supposed to do them, because that is actually really not helpful for me, because once I miss a timeline, once I miss something for that hour, I get so discouraged that I don't know what to do afterwards. So what I do instead is I just write them in the order I want to work on them. And I also color code these too. And then I just kind of briefly write out how much time I think these will take, and then write out like a general timeline. So I want to go to the gym at 8, and then after these tasks, I think this will probably take place at 9 p.m. So I just kind of write that down so I can sort of keep track of the time, but not really. So I started doing this, and the reason why I started doing this is because sometimes if I just have a huge to-do list, it can get a little bit overwhelming and I don't know which one to start with. So this kind of gives me like a mental order, like, okay, so right now I'm going to go to the gym. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And then after that, I'm going to film a video. So I know immediately after coming back from the gym, taking a shower, I know that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to work on the July collection. Then I have a meeting that's going to take 2 hours. And then after that, because I'm a little tired, I want to pack orders. So I'm kind of putting this in a certain order. I don't rewrite all of the tasks. It's only certain major tasks. And then there are some other miscellaneous ones that I can just go back and kind of pick out. So that's what I started to do, and that's been extremely helpful to kind of help my brain work better the next day. So that's what I did. You can see I started doing that here as well. Sometimes I don't need it, but sometimes I do. So it just depends. So that was June, and this is July. So July started on the Thursday, and this is the sticky note I was talking about. I just printed the freebie printable onto sticky notes, and maybe I can quickly show you that, just because people were asking me about this. So the printable comes with this grid, and you can see that there's a little bit over like a bleeding area here. That's because I put the sticky notes onto the grid, and then when I printed it, there is a bleeding area, so that extra portion will print onto the bottom paper. So that's how you print out your sticky notes. The first one I made a mistake and I started to print the sticky note onto the paper, but instead I should have just printed the grid. But my printer does this weird thing, so it starts printing from the last page. I don't know why. So that's what happened. But yeah, so this is how you print it onto sticky notes. I really love this. So yeah, that's my weekly section, and now let me go to the daily section. So this is the area where I put down the goals, and this is my daily section. So I always again, if you're not familiar with Hobonichi cousins, they always start with this blank page at the beginning. You can kind of see it a little bit. So there's one, and then there's like a quote, and then it's just blank. So what I decided to do was I would cut out, I would print out my freebie calendar. So this is the freebie calendar, and I would print it out in A5 size. There are 5 sizes in total, so I just print out the A5 size and I stick it on here. I printed on vellum, but I think starting from March, I decided to just print out a sticky paper and stick it on. So that's what this is. It always starts with a graphic. I think this is so pretty, so that's what I've been doing. And the dailies. So at first, I was really using this on the specific day it's meant for. So what would happen is some days it will be blank because I didn't have time to use my notebook, but some days I do use it, and I didn't really like that. And also at this point I was decorating it daily, and that was also kind of annoying as well. But yeah, you can see I was using it a lot. So February, this is the February calendar. I'm also convinced that the vellum paper actually shrinks or something. I don't know, because you can see that it's wrinkly. Anyway, so that's February. I started using pencil, which I loved. I started writing in a script, which I also love. So all of these stickers are from my shop. So this page was blank. But more or less I used almost every single page. March came around. That's the calendar for March. Yeah, I was still using pencil, which I loved. And it was kind of empty. Again, March was when something really horrible happened in our family, so that was crazy. That's why those pages were blank. And this is April. Let me show you the April calendar. So here I started using the sticky paper, and this looks so much better. It's not wrinkly. And then here I start using fountain pens in different colors. I was testing out the new stickers. And then it was blank. Oh, so what happened was in April, what I decided to do was I decided to ignore the dates and just use, think of these 30 pages as a 30-page notebook for that month. So I wouldn't use it based on the dates. So I just start writing, and then wherever I stop there, and then I just pick it up where I left off. And I also started to pre-decorate all the pages all at once, so that's been really helpful. Then everything is ready to go. And I also started creating those videos for you guys, so you guys can see how I decorate my pages. And as you can see, this is the only area where I decorate in my planner. I don't decorate the weeklies, not really, and monthly. So that's May. The May calendar, again, is on sticky paper. It's so good. And then again, I was just using this like daily, whichever. And then I think June came around. June, that was the June calendar on sticky paper that I printed. And the June theme was, what was it? Water garden. I'm looking at it. It's the water garden theme. And in June, I decided to release all the stickers a week before June actually came around, so that I can actually, and you guys can also use the stickers for that month and then match it up with the calendar. So that's what I did. I used all the June stickers. I love this area. It's just like so calming. And a lot of you guys also said that these stickers are so calming. So I'm really happy to hear that. It makes me so happy when you guys feel what I feel when I'm creating these art. This was when I created the July artwork, and I just decided I finished drawing it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to print it out really big and stick it onto my page. I think that was when I drew it, actually, June 11th. So that was, and then these dragonflies are from the July collection. These are holographic. I find that the holographic effect is kind of hard to see in natural light. Under artificial light, it looks much better for some reason. So this is my vellum from July that I was testing out. So I didn't want to write anything because I wanted to see what the print would look like. And then these are the stickers I was creating for July. So these are already available. I love these little dots that I created for this month. I just love the colors, the way they overlap. It's just, I love it. And these are the new butterflies from this month. So, and then I try to experiment with these butterflies as well. So these are the flags from this month. That's again the other half of the vellum. I was testing out some stickers here. And that's again the dragonflies. I keep on calling it butterflies. Yeah, and that's sort of the last page. I love this dragonfly. I don't know if you can see the holographic effect. And this is, I don't know if you can see, but it's gold ink. Like, I don't know if you can sort of see that, but I bought these calligraphy pens, like the copper plate pens, and I bought this dip pen ink from Jet Pens. There are not that many options, so if you go to Jet Pens and then go to dip pen and click like the gold color, you'll see this. I didn't realize that for dip pens you had to use dip pen inks. So here I was dipping it into my fountain pen ink, and it was just like not writing. I'm like, how is this possible? Like, this is so difficult. I have to like dip it every single letter, which was really hard. But then I used the gold one, and it was so thick, you can write a lot using like just one dip, which was really nice. And if you actually feel it, it's because the ink is so thick, you can actually kind of feel the letters, feel the writing. That's really, really cool. And I also tried to experiment dotting it on my sticker. So I did some gold dots on my sticker. So that's it. That's the end of my planner in Hobonichi for the first half of this year. And again, this is the freebie calendar for July. So the next video I'm going to do is my decorate with me for the month of July. I have not decorated this at all. So I'm going to be using all the July stickers to decorate this. And I can't wait. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.